having a seat on the floor or on a bolster or block, pillows, whatever. Cross your shins in front of you. Place the feet underneath the knees. Flex the feet. Press your hands into the spine. Let your spine lift. Remember, the neck is part of the spine, so let your neck come up and drop your shoulders. Press your hands down again. Lift. Draw your back ribs towards each other, your side ribs forward, and your front ribs up, and then drop your shoulders. So it's not you're pushing your mid and lower body out, but flexing the back body, stretching the side body forward, and lifting the front body up. And then chin neutral. Let your eyes close. So as we take a few moments, friends, before we start our practice, take time and recognize what you're here for, what brought you to your yoga mat, then honor that. Recognize what's bringing you to your yoga mat, and is it the same as the first time you got on the mat versus now? If this is your first ever yoga class, honor what got you here. But if it's your second, third, or fourth, or your fourth year or fifth year, whatever amount of time it is for you, has it changed for you what's brought you to the yoga mat? Has your needs evolved? Have your wants evolved? Just like your body might have evolved in the practice to this point. See what's there. Acknowledge if it's still the same or if it's different. And then recognize the value of those things that brought you to your yoga mat. Recognize how you value your health, your mental well-being, your strength, your balance, your endurance, your flexibility, your peace, your calm. And remember how you value those things in your yoga practice. Because when we're off the yoga mat, that's when it's easy to forget them. It's easy to forget how we value our love or our bodies or anything. It's easy to forget our values and value when everyone else might be trying to tell us to measure it by their scale or their weights or their stick. Their ways may not work for you. So as we go through the practice, my friends, remember why you're here and give more value to your health, to your work on the mat, to your well-being, and all those things. Reinforce it, practice it, so that when the world wants to tell you to value something else that you don't believe in, or tells you to value your health, your well-being, your joy less, you can stand there resolute and strong and say, no, I am, or it is. Because it will not be value derived from a certificate or a promise, but from your hard work, not from any particular award or degree. Bring the palms together at the chest, thumbs touching the sternum. We'll Om shortly 3 times and begin. Take a breath. Om. Flex your feet. Om. Don't be afraid to Om at home alone. Bow your head and salute the essence of yoga inside yourself. Bring your palms into your lap. Let your head rise and your eyes open. Great. Go ahead and lay flat on your back with your knees bent and feet flat on the floor, please. Look, y'all get to lay down. So comfortable, so nice. It's a trap. It will be such work. So with both knees bent, feet flat on the floor, laying on your back, cross your right ankle over your left thigh, and then draw your left leg to you, grabbing the back of your knee with both hands on the left leg specifically, and bend your elbows, drawing the leg towards the body. Let's start moving the hip stretch, see where our body is before we start really getting going. Just because we might know the value of our work doesn't mean it's not always nice to kind of revisit it, check back in on it. That's right. I always have to remind myself when I sit down and I start pontificating in the quiet moment that I'm preaching to the choir. So for you, in these poses, what else are you getting out of your yoga practice that defines and enforces the positive things about you? Even in the simplest stretch that can be very basic, Miss Pratama, cross your right ankle over your left thigh and then draw your left knee to your body, stretching the right hip. You got it, friend. There you go. Even in the simplest stretches, you can find some level of work in this, whether it's relief from pain, the time commitment that you're giving yourself, and so forth. So, if you want more, we've been practicing, I know. Well, I have. I assume all of you have at least, daily. Stretch your left leg straight up, and if you can, grab your toes or your foot with your hands. So now you have an elongated left leg and a stretch to the right hip. Your hips will come up off the floor when doing this. This is normal. Now, if you cannot, and it's okay to use the strap try, very good. It is okay to not grab the foot if you just want to hold on to the back of the knees, but we're looking to change. Very good bending the elbow, Shubha. So try not to overly shrug your shoulders to your neck, but bend your elbows wide, regardless if you're holding a strap or your foot directly. So you can drop your shoulders away from your ears, and you might get some hamstring stretch, hip stretch, back stretch. On an exhale, go ahead and switch out your legs. Start with the left ankle over the right thigh, grabbing the back of your right knee just to warm up, see where the hip is, and then you can add to it shortly. Go ahead, stretch the other leg up. If you want to grab the foot with the strap or your hands. All right. A few more seconds, take a few deep breaths. Go ahead, let your legs go. Turn over laying on your stomach. Bakasana, or frog pose. Nice quad to hip opener is what we'll be doing now. So laying on your stomach. Bend your right knee. Taking the top of your right foot in your hand, pull your right heel towards your right buttock as hard as you can. Safely, of course. Try to grab the toes in the front 5 joints of the foot more than you're trying to grab, say, the arch or ankle. The point of this is to actually ask the muscles of the foot to stretch. So laying on your stomach, bend the knee, grab the foot. If you cannot grab the foot, shoulder issues, immobility, it's okay to use a strap and pull the foot in. But you just want to keep your chest down, and even that can be uncomfortable for some people. So if you can't breathe while laying flat on your stomach, it's okay to prop your chest up so you can keep a breath. So just the right foot, grabbing the top of it, pulling it down towards the glute. If you have a cramp, great.
Cramping here, Dustin.
Yeah, that's normal. I'm happy for you.
Okay.
She unmuted herself just so you could all hear the old line. Now, you might get a cramp in your hamstring on this. The bending and flexing of your knees in this manner causes the hamstring to flex a lot. Mr. Iyengar would often talk about stabilizing the knee and correcting hip work would often come from the correct flexion of the hamstring. And so cramping this early is a sign that maybe this will be challenging, but ultimately good for you. Bakasana. Beka means frog. Go ahead, switch. Use the left hand. Don't worry if you didn't feel like you got enough on your right. There'll be more. Remember, try to take your hand, make sure your hands hold the foot near the toes. Pulling just on the arch or ankle can over manipulate that section. Pulling on the toes actually makes more work happen down the length of the shin bone and creates a suppleness in the ankle. All right, go ahead and take both hands, grab one hand each foot.
This is a quadricep stretch.
You will stretch your quadricep, you may get a hamstring cramp. It becomes a backward bend the more we do it. So grabbing hold of each foot, even if it's one strap in both feet, pull those heels towards those glutes. Point your toes as best you can when you're doing this. Activate the leg to lengthen the foot away from the knee like we've talked about in prior classes. Lift your head to look straight out in front of you as best you can. You will feel your chin. You might even start to lift your front of your chest up, or the upper part of your chest up. Now, this is where the arms have to be way more involved. When you push down on the foot, continue to Bend your elbows more than trying to keep your arms straight. Your arms do not stay straight in this at all. The more you bend your elbows and squeeze your elbows towards each other, so the muscles of your upper back and shoulder blade have to flex and squeeze in. The work then becomes learning to lift off of that while you push down with the arms to lift with your upper thoracic. So any degree that you can, lift up, look out, while pushing your heels down towards your glutes, and eventually your toes would touch the floor one day. I guess. I've never had my toes touch the floor here, maybe a heel. But... And it's really how much your quads will stay down and how much the upper thoracic can lift and move up. But always move first from your head. Don't try to throw your shoulders up. Pick your head up and look as much with your head and neck to start the movement of the upper spine. The lift of the head will work those muscles in your upper back. Try not to use your arms. Good. Take a nice deep breath. Come on down. Good. Sit on up. Bring the soles of the feet together and both knees wide into Baddha Konasana or bound angle. You can still sit on support, blocks, blankets, bolsters, if you need to support for floor-seated poses. So it might feel like we're doing a bunch of random poses, but the sequence is actually to start creating lower back mobility and prep for more backward bends. Since we don't have a lot of props, maybe at home, and I've tried to modify the yoga practice online here to get us towards those challenging poses, even if we don't have all the toys. So place the soles of the feet together, pull the heels close to your body, and then take your hands onto the floor next to your hips and scoot your hips forward a little bit so your hips actively move in towards the heels. You can take the index and middle finger on each hand, hook your big toes, pull on the big toes so they start to spread a little, and then work more on how can you push the pinky toe side of the foot down into the floor from the whole heel down to the major pinky toe joint. So it's a flexion of the thigh muscle, the same work we've been doing in lots of these past classes, learning to press down into the surface we already have so the quads and the muscles of the legs have to activate to open the hip. So flex your thighs, not to push your knee down, to push your feet harder down. And then if you'd like, stretch forward. Still hands holding the feet, still pushing the feet firm into the floor. Stretch forward as much as you want. Bending your elbows wide so you don't get in your shoulder and neck. Let your hips start to stretch as you fold forward a little bit. And then feel which leg wants to work, which leg doesn't. How you can start to modify the flexion of the legs to get it to flex, to try and create equal pressure. Not push the knees down one faster than the other. They'll go down one day. Maybe not today, but they'll go down. Notice when you're going into the forward fold, it's easy to try and make your head lead the action. And while in the backward bend, I was asking you to lead the backward bend with your head and neck. Forward folds very rarely ask the head to come down first. Keeping the head neutral, if not lifted, while you bring your chest down. That's great. Nice long necks. Very good, Shia. The extension of the spine, I think Mr. Iyengar often talked about, was about the extension of the upper spine while the rest of the body got into folds and things like that, especially making sure not to overcrimp the neck. A few more seconds. Hi, Dagny. It's very nice to see you. All right. Bring your bodies up. Lay back on your stomachs again. Bhujangasana, or serpent. So you're gonna lay on your stomach again. Top of the feet flat to the floor. So in Bhujangasana, it eventually turns into a similar upward dog, Uttanavishta Konasana kind of action. Not Uttanavishta Konasana, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. But the difference between this and upward facing dog is that the legs don't leave the floor a whole lot, and how much backward bend is worked into this pose from the arms. The hands start about 6 inches in front of your shoulders if you're laying flat. So they actually start fairly far out away from you, because the starting lift is about the lift of your spine, and then it's worked into your back muscles rolling you back. So pointing the feet, big toes touching, try to squeeze your heels together. The legs must be active in this pose before we lift into it, because if we do not activate the legs, the thighs, we do not get the full flexion of the spine. So pressing the palms into the floor just a little, squeeze your big toes together and try to push all 5 nails on each foot, toenails, down into the floor. So you have to flex your calf to push your shin down. You have to flex your hamstrings to push your thighs very firmly down, and you will feel your buttocks flex with this. The only thing that comes up, the pelvic rim up comes up off the floor. The pubic region down to the thighs actually presses into the floor. So flex your buttocks, even flex the space between the thighs and the buttocks, flex your thud. It's all about a depression of the lower body so the arms can lift the upper body. Take a few deep breaths, slowly start to straighten the arms, lifting the chest up. Now, again, only part of the pelvis that comes off the floor is those 2 front notches. So if you're very mobile and you just pick up your thighs and your hips off the floor, you're not getting much spine bend, you're doing most of it from your hips. So flex your thighs, push those down, pick your chest up as much as you can. And then if you're feeling pretty good, the more stretch you're going to get is you walking your hands back towards your hips a little bit, so your chest goes up even higher. Try to keep the head picked up as much as you're bringing your chest up. So all the action the arms are doing to lift the upper torso, the head should do as much to lift itself up and start to look up at the ceiling, moving the head back. When you start to look up at the ceiling, think about the crown of your head stretching back behind you to start flexing the upper thoracic more. Now, push your feet down, push your thighs down. And then walk your hands back a little closer towards your hips. When you walk your hands back a little closer, pause, and can you push your shoulders back, but let your chest come forward? Backward bends of the upper back are not very easy. So we have to ask the legs to really work harder to help them work. So everyone's got their chest up. So instead of pushing with your arms harder now, flex your thighs and your glutes and depress your glutes towards your pelvis down. So your pubic region goes towards the floor. Your hamstrings press your thighs down, and your calves press your feet down. You might get a cramp. This might happen. This is what Mr. Angar used to say would replace the discs of your spinal region if they are out of place. It is a challenge to get the full length of the spine here, and that's why I'm holding you in it for a long time. Take a few breaths. All right. Exhale. Bring your chest down first. Bend both knees again. Frog. Grabbing the back, grabbing the top of each foot near the toes, pull the heels towards your buttock. Point the foot. Actively point the feet and the legs in this pose. Just as we've talked about in past classes, the secret of all yoga poses being 2 parts moving away from each other, be aware of the same here. Can you stretch your knee away from your shin, away from your foot? Those 2 parts where the foot and knee stretch away from each other. So the calf has to cramp a little bit probably to get it to work. Try to do both feet. Bend your elbows a little bit, squeeze your elbows towards each other behind you. The more you do that, the more you're going to work your shoulder blades and that upper back muscle. Look up first. Let your chin come off the floor if you can. Right there, stage 2. This is a very good stage to do a lot of work in, to work on picking your head up first until your face is completely forward. It wouldn't even be good to go on to the next stage with fuller lift if you can't get your head and chin up level. So if I looked at you from the side, it would look like your chin was resting on a counter. Oh, don't give up, Sanjeev and Lena. You both got this. The heels come down, so don't be afraid to use the strength of your arms to make your quads have to take some stretch and pull here. Take a nice deep breath in. Exhale, down you come. Sit on up. Feel free to sit on something if you are having back tension right now. You might. You are working through a lot of back stuff. Seated. Soles of the feet together, knees wide, Baddha Konasana again. Press the soles of the feet together firmly. Press both heels down into the floor. And again, pull the heels close to the groin, push your hands into the floor next to your hips, scoot your hips forward. And then stretch forward any degree while keeping the activeness of the leg. Stretch forward, Miss Chaya. You'll be all right. Couple deep breaths. And feel your body, feel your work. Remember, this is an affirmation of you. So if you want to believe and affirm that you are stable and strong and safe and determined, affirm those things. If you want to practice language of I'm not good enough or things of that nature, you have the choice to. Just don't think you want to pay to be here for that. You're here for something different. Exhale, come on up. Lay on your stomachs again. Up and down, up and down. Laying on your stomach again. Oop. Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. The hands start much closer to the hips. Somewhere between your shoulders and your hip joints, go with a flat palm. I like to say somewhere about below the pectoralis muscles, pretty good for my body. But again, the legs are in the same action. Point the foot, squeeze the heels together, touch the big toes together. So you must learn to adduct the inner thigh muscles and flex the inner glute and the muscles of the inner thigh. Now, before you work the chest and the arms, because I know we're all eager, push the tops of your feet down and lift your knees off the floor as best you can. Keep your knees off the floor. Push your hands into the floor and lift your chest up, but leave your hips and legs where they are. Now, notice what came up first. Shoulders probably propped up and just lifted your head. Straighten the arms as best you can, lifting your chest up any degree while trying to keep your knees off the floor. Your hips will come off the floor. Good. Now that you've gotten your chest up on the strength of your arms, lift the spine by lifting your head up and moving it back any degree. The crown of the head, right there at that top point, where I'm probably going to get a bald spot if, I'm unlucky. You're going to move that head back, stretch it for that point, and then move your shoulders with it. Let your upper body, your upper strength, follow that movement of the spine and the neck. Good, Chaya, good. Keep your knees off the floor if you can. Take a breath or two. Exhale, come on down. Have a seat on the floor, unless you're having a lot of back pain. As you have a seat on the floor and stretch your legs out in front of you, Dandasana, please. So the feet and thighs are together. And oh my God, how much more of this up and down do we got? A lot. Stretch both legs in front of you, both hands, fingertips on the floor next to your hips. Lift your spine up, squeeze your thighs together. Those of you that were here for the Saturday event, we did Dustin as the intermediary pose for the other poses. He does a great pose for that. All right. Lift the spine. Point your feet away from your body. So you're really stretching the toes away from the foot, the ankle away from the shin, the knee away from the thigh. Lean back enough, and you can even take your fingers back behind you. Try to lift both legs up the height of your face. Now, I say this, and some of you are doing it, which is great. If you have to bend your knees, feel free to bend your knees to start to create that lift of the leg. If you have to bend both knees and keep them bent, to lean back enough to start lifting your legs up, not higher than your face, but just your face. And even if you can't, because of tightness, immobility in some form or another, even propping your feet up on a chair while you use your fingertips and arms to keep your chest lifted will start to give you variations here in Navasana, or boat pose. This is Ardha Navasana, which is the second form, which is one that causes the most ab work and hamstring cramps, quad cramps. So as you get the legs up to any degree, flex the quads. And for some of you, you're going to feel like your legs won't lift up at all, mostly because your low back is wanting to do it and not your quad strength itself. So regardless of where you are, bring your legs down for a moment. Find a wall, a chair, two or three blocks, whatever you can do to probably get your feet at least a foot up off of the floor. You can turn around, put it on your couch for all I care. Your legs will be straightish up on your couch or your height, and your fingertips right there, slightly behind you, so you're leaning back 12 to 20-ish degrees. Even one block will be just fine. Very good. Anything to prop your feet up higher. There you go, Glenda. Turn that block up nice and tall. Very good, Chaya, use of chair. Shubha, good. Now, with your heels up on your prop, point your feet, stretch your feet away from your thighs. Good. Now, Ardha Navasana 2 is about flexing the abdominis and using our abdominal shrieks to control the lift of our spine. This is a really good pose to help our back muscles and sacral plate. So here's the action. Walk your hands back a little bit, and it's going to sound weird. Round your back, but you never want your spine to touch the floor. Start to roll from the tip of your sacral plate onto, the lower third of it. Lean back, let your abdomen come towards your spine. Slouch, and then hold it. Take your fingertips off the floor and hold. Even if it's one hand, hold, then the other hand and hold. It's a lot. Woo! Now this is 2. This is Ardha Navasana 2, which does not mean your hands go out in front of you. Your fingertips go to the back of your head as you try to slouch into your abdominis more. So lean back, Chaya. It's like I described this to one of my students as you are trying to lay as close to the floor as you can without letting your spine actually touch the floor. It's a silly, fun thing to do. Try. All right, come down, rest for a minute. I'll show you a demo. Since Tristan's not here, I have to, in her honor, embarrass myself on camera. So 2, from this action, Dandasana, recline. When your feet come up, you want your feet the height of your face. Above your face is where you're getting into full boat. Here is the action where we start to keep our legs strong and stretched and bring our spine down without touching our spine to the floor and holding. That's it. I know I say that's it, but it's really not it. That's it. My teacher would say, you have seen, now go do. So keep using your props, whether it's your chair, things like that, because I want you to get used to taking the rigidity out of the spine for holding the spine up like this. The abdominis muscles and the lateral muscles are very good for, even if you're only using your fingertips to help, and you just float them once in a while. All right, legs nice and long, let's do it. Come on, Lena Sanjeev, you two got this. I believe in you. Sanjeev, turn your block up taller, man. There you go. All right. Legs high, point those toes, stretch the feet away. Really notice that when you point the foot and try to actively stretch the foot away from you, your thigh muscles can activate better. This is what holds your legs up. Fingertips are back behind you a bit, letting you recline. Now try to take the fingertips towards the head and slowly lower yourself towards the floor a little bit. And this is without the feet just floating in the air. Woo! Point those feet. Keep them on the prop. Don't worry, we're going to do this a few times. This is going to challenge a lot of different muscle. Exhale, bring your arms down. Good. Fingertips touching the floor just behind you to help your back. Now point your feet. Stretch the leg, strong legs, don't give up. Squeeze your thighs tight together. Try to pick up both feet off of the prop they're sitting on and hold them up in the air, the height of your face. Not your hands, Chai, no hands. Now touch the fingertips to your head and try to go back into the controlled drop, even a little. Have a quad cramp. I fall back in this all the time. This takes a lot of different muscle to coordinate: quads, core, upper thoracic. All right, come on down. Good job. Oh, don't worry. We'll do some more. Bring the feet together, knees wide, Baddha Konasana. Pull the heels close to the groin. Scoot the groin close to the heels. When you pull the heels close, exhale, push the feet together and down, draw the chest forward. Ardha Navasana 2. Take a few breaths here while you're stretching forward. Work each leg. So you noticed when both legs might have been in the air, the challenge of keeping them up. One knee wants to be bent, the other might want to be straight. One quad cramps, the other might not. Arches, foot cramps. Take a second to reset it here. Look at your knees too. Don't completely check out. Is one knee lower than the other? Can you work the higher knee by pushing, not the knee down harder, but pushing the foot more into the floor, flexing that thigh muscle? Can you make sure each leg, regardless of the balance of the body, are actively working towards that thing you want, that thing you need to reinforce for you? Do not be a passive passenger in your yoga practice. You are the active driver of it. Good. All right. Stretch your legs out in front of you again. Put both feet up on the prop. So Navasana, or boat pose, the difference between Ardha and full Navasana is the distance from the thigh to the abdomen, where Ardha Navasana is a wide V, right, like the curled bottom. It's not the hard shape that full boat pose is. The feet try to go above the head in full boat. So we're going to start with the arms or the upper body just so you all get comfortable. So everyone's got their legs elevated to some degree. Fingertips go just behind your hips, not as far back as before. This is not a descending down. This is very much the traditional lifting up. So even here, fingertips just on the floor next to your hips. Lift your spine up and lean back 10 inches. Now pause, push your hips down, stretch your arms out towards your feet with your palms facing in. Notice how much you rolled your shoulder forward. Pull your shoulders back, lift your heart up so you have to feel the abdominis, pick your ribs up. Point your feet, start to activate the legs and already play the pose. You do put pressure on your sacral plate. You do not stay on your sits bones and your tailbone. You are touching, your buttocks are going to be on the floor in this. Lift your right leg higher than your face, even if your knee is bent. Pick it up. Notice what abdominal things have to work. Point your foot. The leg that lifts does not lift on your low back. Point, stretch the right toe, the foot that you lifted away from your hip. Keep it active and engaged. Go ahead, bring the right one down. Take the left leg up. Woo. Get that foot higher than the head. Even if you have to bend the knee to feel some lift and some quad flex, go for it. Chest up, Miss Shuba, chest up. Don't lose your upper back, just for the legs. Bring both legs down. Take your fingertips onto the floor just next to you. Relift your spine. Take a few breaths. Keep both hands on the floor. Try to keep your spine lifted. Lean back so you feel the more of the buttock touch the floor. Try to pick up both feet the height of your head, but keep your hands in play. See what it takes to make your quads lift your legs up. And to keep your feet pointed. So your thighs and your calf are deeply flexed, to squeeze your thighs tight. If you have a quad cramp, I'm happy for you. If you only can lift one at a time, wonderful. It is okay to modify, to correct, and adjust for your body's needs. Chest up, use your arms to help keep your chest lifted and try to reduce more of the space between your thigh and your stomach. That is the fold point. That's the point where things come closer. All right, come down and rest for a moment. All right, again, I will give some visible evidence that this is possible. I'm going to call the yoga book I might one day be forced to write, visible evidence that this is possible. You're going to lift the spine, point the foot. It's all Dandasana. The lean back, 15-ish. When I start to lift my legs, I actively point the feet and go from above my hip. I'm trying to close this space here. So I retract my abdominis, not to crunch down, but to pull me forward while I pull my thigh up. And I get a quad cramp right here. Feels really great. You go down. So it's really the challenging part, I think, for a lot of people is the overuse of crunches or sit-ups, where we pull our bottom ribs into the abdomen. We have to keep the bottom ribs up away from the abdomen and pull the abdomen towards the thigh as the thigh comes towards the abdomen. This is the interesting thing, is that it can free your hip flexors. Those of us without a lot of inner groin and hip mobility, this can make a big difference in freeing that up, because it teaches those muscles of the groin to fold better, because bigger muscles helping them let go. Stretch your legs out. Let's do it again. Then you can, one day when COVID is not a concern and you're at workshops and the teacher says, do Navasana, none of you can say, well, Dustin never taught me. I ain't gonna have that crap happen when Gabriel shows back up. Pick your legs up higher than your face. And you think that's not happened. That's happened every time I've ever had my teacher in. Now pick up your feet higher than your head. Point your toes. Now lift your heart, and when using your hands, push your abdomen, flex your abdomen and move it towards your thigh. This is the work. And then if you want, try to stretch your arms out towards your knees. Even if it's only one leg up and one hand out, and then you switch it. That's okay too. You get a quad cramp, you get a hamstring cramp, you fall backwards, that's all normal, because this is working two large muscle sets, the abdominals, the quads, to release the back together. And it is very challenging, because if we overuse our backs, we collapse. All right, nice job, lay down. Lay on your back for a moment. It's not restorative, don't get silly. Cross your right ankle over your left thigh again. Draw your left knee to your body. If you want to grab the back of the knee, or you may go right ahead and stretch your left leg straight up into the air, grabbing the foot with your hands or your strap. Nice, Glenda, you're getting closer to that foot. I see more straps coming out. Good. That means more of you got tired. Our legs should be tired by now. While here, right ankle flexes. Flexing your right thigh, press your right ankle into your left thigh more. I'll say that again. This time I'll slow down. Flexing your right thigh muscle. It's not pushing your knee away from your body, but it is pushing your right ankle into your left thigh more. This might cause you to feel bone pressure on your left quad. Not much to do about it right now. You can pad it if you need to. But by flexing that right thigh, you're asking the right femur bone to move from the strength of your quad and your hamstrings, moving it, not just pressure on those knee joints and the ankle joints. Suppleness of the knee and ankle does not come from overforced movement on them. Movement of them is very useful, but it does not come from you just torquing them. That's how you get tears. Can you let the hip stretch for the next few seconds? Good. Switch your legs up. And flexing the left thigh, pushing the left ankle into the right thigh. All right, go ahead, take the legs down. Roll over onto your stomachs again. We'll go through each of the backward bends. Bakasana. Bending both knees, bring both heels towards your glutes. Take both hands, reach them back. Grab the top of the foot closest to the toe, so you're going to be pushing down on the toes and the 5 joints of the foot. So you might have to, it will increase the curve of your arch. Grab those feet. There you go, Chaya. You got it. Pull the heels towards the glutes. If you are of that mobility, you may pull your heels to the outside of your glute and down towards the floor. By all means, that's fine. They do move to the outside of the buttock down. Lift your head up first. Push down with the arms. Squeeze your elbows and shoulders towards each other. So your upper thoracic, your upper back is narrowing and the front chest widens. Bend your elbows, Pratima. Keep them bent. The more you lift your head up, if you can get your chin level, you're looking straight out, then you can push down harder with your arms and pick your chest up. Most of us find this extremely difficult because we do not use our upper back to lift. If you want to straighten your arms, do not, because that is a different pose, and that's you trying to use your shoulder joints and your low back to lift you. This pose is there to make you have to learn to flex the abdominals and lift with your upper back, your upper thoracic. So the more work you do bending your elbows from here, pushing your feet down and squeezing your elbows towards each other, the better. Take a nice breath in. Exhale, let your legs down, chest down. Palms about 6 to 10 inches in front of your shoulders, please, flat on the floor. Press down through the palms. Take the top of the feet flat to the floor and press the toenails down. Press the shin down, press the thigh bone down, hard as you can. Lift your head up first, looking out. Push your hands down and forward like you're trying to drag your yoga mat to the world in front of you and lift your chest up. The reason I ask for that is by pushing your hands down and dragging your yoga mat forward, it encourages your shoulders to move back, not just up, but back. Up you go. Lift, 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 but work your legs. Flex your buttocks to push the thut down, the hamstring down, and the top of the foot as you move your shoulders back to the world behind you. Now, once you've lifted your chest, make sure the lower part of the pelvis, the pubic region, stays towards the floor. Move your head up and back. And as your head goes up and back and you feel that upper back flex, move your shoulders back with it and keep both of those parts encourage each other. Take a couple breaths. Walk your hands back towards your hips about 6 inches. Push your feet down, lift your knees and thighs up and your hips up off of the floor. Then push your hands and arms down. Urdhva. Lift your chest up, thighs up. Everything's off the floor except the feet and the hands. Your hips stay low. Move your chest up. Squeeze your shoulders together and then move your head back. Take a breath. The work here is to keep your thighs off the floor, Shubha. This is now Urdhva. But your top of your feet flat, friend. Oh, it's not fun. There you go. Now drop your hips a little. Now the trick here is to make the hamstrings flex, glutes flex, and stretch your abdomen forward as you move your head and shoulders back. There you go. While the thighs off the floor. All right, come down, relax. Sit on up. Bring the soles of the feet together, the knees wide again, Baddha Konasana. This is why yoga is taught in person. It's hard to absorb information and like know where your back is supposed to be when you're like, it's all virtual. Soles of the feet together, knees wide. Pull your heels close to the groin. Move your groin close to your heels or closer. Hold on to your feet. Bend your elbows wide. Draw your body forward and down. Any degree into the stretch. Try not to let your neck and head lead the action. If your chest is going down, look forward so you're extending the upper neck and upper back as you move the body into the pose. Take a nice deep breath in, and as you exhale, bring your body up. Stretch both legs straight out in front of you in Dandasana. Bend your right knee and take your right foot to the outside of your left thigh, your foot flat to the floor, into Bardha. Take your left arm, wrap it around the right knee. Your right fingers can go onto the floor behind you, but I wouldn't recommend you lean into them a whole lot. And work on pulling your right knee hard in towards your left armpit. You're really trying to stretch that leg across your body, and then you twist a little bit around with it. Do not just twist and then pull the leg. Make the leg movement the greater action. And then work with your left leg in a similar fashion that we did with all the other poses. Point your left foot. Stretch the toes away from the arch. Stretch the foot away from the ankle. And when you point your foot like that, notice the different muscles in your left leg that flexes. It takes hardness out of the knee and engages it into your thigh. Almost every pose you see Mr. Engar do, his feet are very pointed. Very few of them are totally overly flexed back. That's an action of over calf and knee twitch that I've come to find. But the more you point the foot, you can start to learn to flex the calf and thigh, and then rotate, not on a gripped knee and groin, but on an elongated leg. It takes a little bit to get used to the action, but it can give some relief to difficult parts of the twist. Take a breath. Switch sides. Exhale as you go. Again, pressing your left foot to the outside of your right thigh. Try to pull the leg more than you twist the shoulder and neck. Be aware of the tendency to want to do that. The more that you move that left knee towards your right armpit is going to give you some level of leverage that moves the hip muscle and how it connects into your spine. We move those muscles, the spine can twist easier. I can safely say over the past 10 months of online classes, I've seen so many of you progress in this. This is very nice to see. Your shoulders are different. Hips are moving better. You're not all looking at the camera lost as much. That's nice. Mostly because Tristan's not here, and I know she's the pretty one, so it's okay. This is like if Pat Sajak was the only one doing everything on Wheel of Fortune. It would be really not a fun show. All right, exhale, out you go. Stretch your legs out, lay on your back. If you would like to put your legs up on a chair or couch or some level of height to relieve low back tension, good time for it. But wherever you get to with your body, make sure you're comfortable. Because remember, you're the driving force of your yoga practice. What you get out of this is entirely up to you. I've had not so great yoga teachers too in my life. I talk about the good ones predominantly, but even the ones that I would consider, not clear. Wonderful people, but not clear in their teaching. They still offered me a chance to make something I wanted to on my mat. So make of this what you need it to be, my friends, regardless of my distance from you or your feelings of the day. Prop up your head, your knees, your back. Play the soft music if that's what you've got to do to get to that space where you're not distracted, but you're at peace. Because peace is not something that just happens. It is a practice too. That's a discipline. Just like the discipline for you all to be here, the discipline to give yourself compassion, and the discipline to practice peace over apathy. So my friends, rest for the next few moments till I ring the bell and enjoy the fruits of your yogic practice.